Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshunamilitan Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Yam Pravajantam Anupeta Apeta Kritam Rapayano Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putreti Tanmayataya Tadavo Binedus Tam Sarvabhutam Hridayam Munimanatosmi Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatam Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Ambhaktya Vihina Parada Lakshay Kiptashtakamari Tarangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapanna Vrinde Namaste Charanada Vindam Tavevasmi Najivami Trayavina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvam Nayanam Charanandike Vancha Kapa Tarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So we're going to begin by offering our most humble obeisance unto the lotus feet of our beloved gurus, unto Sri Guru Pada Padmanitali Bhavishta Om Vishnu Pada Sta Tarsat Sri Srimad Abhaya Charnaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and unto Sri Guru Pada Padmanitali Bhavishta Om Vishnu Pada Sta Tarsat Sri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, under our exalted Rupa Nuga Guru Varga and all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. So, according to Indian calendar, today was the day that Srila Prabhupada arrived in Boston on the Jaladuta in 1965. By Western calendars, it was the 13th. I don't think the actual lunar day has been calculated. But, so I wanted to read some things that Srila Prabhupada had written on that day and speak something about that incredible event. You know, people, you know, they talk about, you know, when Columbus arrived, discovered America, when the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth Rock, you know, when man landed on the moon, all these big, you know, when Julius Caesar crossed the Rubicon and entered Rome, you know, big historical dates, right? But this, when Srila Prabhupada arrived on the shores of America, this may be, you know, one of the most important dates in history, right? Because this is the date that Mahaprabhu's movement was carried to the Western world. It's true that there were some preachers that had gone earlier, but they had gone back. Some seeds were planted, but when Srila Prabhupada arrived, and this is when the movement of Mahaprabhu really began in the West. And actually, he speaks to that. There's a very beautiful, let's see, where is it? Yeah. He says, wait, is it here? Where is it? There was a nice little article that, let's see, could it be that one? I think I mistakenly deleted it. Let's see. It's his own words when he talks about what went on, or what he was thinking, in fact, prior to that. Let's see. Could be this. No, this one. Not that one. Maybe. No. Just give me a moment here. Anyway, I'll just recall it by memory. He was speaking, but it was so sweet in his own words. He was saying that when he arrived, his thought was, how could he do anything, knowing the West to be what it was, and even becoming more surprised. It's one thing to hear about the degradation of the West from the perspective of an Indian saint, growing up, living as a Vaishnava, pure Vaishnava his entire life, and especially at an earlier time. But to arrive and to witness it yourself firsthand, it's astonishing. Actually, even I remember first time I went to India for any period of time. Actually, even when I just went for like a month and a half, very first time in '76, and came back to the West, I was kind of shocked, having lived in Vrindavan and in Mayapur, and getting very immersed. In just that amount of time coming back to the West was a shock. Oh my God, what a culture, what an environment. And then at other times, having stayed there for longer periods of time, coming back, it's like another planet, the Western world. It's just completely different mentality, pursuit, just the complete absence of spirituality that existed. And he was commenting that he didn't think that he would be able to do anything or be here for very long. And when his first visa came up, he was thinking that when that comes up, I'll just have to go back to India. I'll do what I can. I'll plant some seeds. I'll leave some books, and that will be the start. Something will come from that. He had no idea that it would take off like it did. It was a surprise even to him. That's the beauty of Yogamaya. Yeah, that the devotee is always in prema, always remembering Sri Krishna, never a doubt, never, in Maya, always completely absorbed in the order and the instruction of the spiritual master, but can't always see and anticipate, can't see the future. And Krishna does that intentionally to increase our dependence, increase our surrender, increase our determination. And Srila Prabhupada's surrender and determination was never in doubt. So he wrote 2 poems, actually. One was on the Jaladuta itself, and one when he arrived in Boston Harbor. But before that was the period of preparation. Remember, he had originally received this order to preach in the West, couched in the form of a suggestion by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. When Srila Prabhupada, as a young man, met him, you are an educated young man. You speak English very well. Why don't you preach the message of Mahaprabhu to the Western world? And Srila Prabhupada had some objection at that time. We're a conquered nation. Who will take anything from us while we're in a position of dependency? No one takes anything from India seriously. Only when we gain independence will we have the strength and the recognition on the world stage that what we have to offer is of some value, right? But Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, he did not take that into consideration. He says this is a temporal consideration, right? Whatever the condition of a country, liberated, conquered, these things come and go in the history of the world, right? The real consideration is the eternal message of Mahaprabhu, which is completely transcendental to the mundane consideration. And he spoke it very forcefully. And Srila Prabhupada accepted that. Yes, we should strive for this. It's ironic, though, because when he did go and preach, India was, by that time, an independent nation. But it wasn't because of India's political position that his mission was a success. In America, when he came, people knew almost nothing about India. They very, very little, what to speak of the philosophy. The only thing that had leaked over to the Western shores were impersonalist commentaries on Srimad Bhagavad Gita and other literatures, very obscure, Zen-like interpretation of the beauty of the Vedas. And everything else, Mahabharata, all of that, the histories, all myth, historical myth. They thought that none of this actually happened. These are like the tales of the Greeks and the Romans and their gods. None of this actually happened. Any rate, he had always meditated from that point on, and had committed himself from the very first meeting to serving Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada and helping his mission. And even though he was not initiated and was a householder, wherever he was, and he was living in Allahabad, he thought that I should help these Gaudiya Math devotees. And so he did. He would assist them in their preaching, introduce them to business associates, help them raise funds, do so many things. And as he traveled around India on his business, he would also meet with devotees there and assist them to whatever extent he could. And after the disappearance of Srila Prabhupada, well, just before the disappearance of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, he asked him one more time, what can I do for you? All your other disciples, the prominent disciples, they're all sannyasis, brahmacharis. They're engaged full time. I'm a householder with so many other responsibilities and distractions. What can I do for you? And this is his last communication, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada wrote back to him, you should endeavor to preach this message in English to the Western world. And so he did. He began his magazine, Back to Godhead. He began it during World War II. And India was so immersed, and all the resources of India were taken by the British, directed towards the war effort. India was impoverished at that time. Very difficult to print that magazine and to distribute it. But he did it, kept it in English. And then after that, in the late 40s, his business was struggling, and ultimately, at one point, when he was in, I guess, Delhi and Mathura, he got word that the people at his factory had taken his last money, 6,000 or 7,000 rupees, which was a lot of money back then, but taken that, and I think his factory had burned down. They burned it down or something and left. His family became very discouraged. So he was, at that time, he decided, with the encouragement of the Vaishnavas in Mathura, Bhaktivedanta, at first, but before he took sannyasa, it was Gaur Narayan Das, who became Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj later, and then around 1952. And then Bhaktivedanta Keshav Maharaj would visit and also give him encouragement. They were old friends. So he began his determination to fulfill that order in Vrindavan and began translating. He did a translation of Bhagavad Gita. He wrote a commentary on Roy Ramananda Samvad, short commentary. And then he began his opus magnus, the Srimad Bhagavatam. And with incredibly great endeavor, somehow he was able to translate and comment on the first canto in 3 parts, and oversaw the publishing, the printing, the layout, the editing, everything, all by himself, no help. Very expensive endeavor, but he did it. And when they were completed, he was making a great effort to try to get a ticket to come to the West, to get a passport, to get a visa. None of that is very easy back then, very difficult. Not many Indians were in America in the early 60s, very few. But somehow with great difficulty, he convinced this, what's her name, Moraji, what's her full name? Anyway, she had a shipping company, the Scindia Shipping Company. She and her husband had. Her husband died. She ran it. And she wasn't willing to give him a ticket because she said, oh, you're too old. You should not go. you'll get sick, you'll die. How can you, go across the ocean? It's very difficult going across the Atlantic this time of year. I won't give you a ticket. But he kept persuading her, and she finally did. She finally gave him a ticket. And so, good job. The dog really obeys you. Don't bark.
No,
Oh,
no, I told her she thought I meant go stick it.
oh, go chase that other dog. All right. At any rate, he got the ticket. And if you read his diary, it's amazing that journey. Sitting in the harbor at Calcutta for some time, then going across, I think they went to Sri Lanka, and then step by step, different ports they were stopping in Arabia and other, and then finally getting to the Atlantic. And when they got to the Atlantic, oh, that was very difficult. At first, it was the Atlantic can be very violent, very turbulent. And Srila Prabhupada was experiencing difficulty. Earlier on, he was experiencing difficulty because he had very little to eat. He had some, they call it dried cereal. I'm sure it was puffies. Dried puffies with some, and that he would take for his breakfast. And then the captain of the ship bought him a small stove that he was able to use, and from then on, he could cook a little bit for himself. But when they got to the Atlantic, he couldn't eat at all. It was so turbulent, and he actually had 1 or 2 heart attacks during that time. And so he didn't think he was actually going to make it across. But then one night, and he was praying, and then one night he had a dream, and in that dream he saw his boat, the Jaladuta, and he saw Krishna in a rowboat ahead of them. And Krishna was rowing the boat and pulling the Jaladuta and smiling. And then the next day the seas were calm. And it was like flat the entire rest of the way. And the captain and his wife said they'd never seen the Atlantic like that at all. And then he was able to regain his health, and then he arrived in Boston, right? But before they arrived, he wrote a prayer. One he wrote when he got to Boston, one he wrote before that. And this prayer is very, very amazing. They're both amazing, but they reveal Srila Prabhupada's inner sentiments. Even though Srila Prabhupada did not compose a lot in Bhakti, in Bengali, that which he did compose, it's astonishing, actually. There's one prayer that he wrote, the Ashtakam, 8 Ashtakams in prayer to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada on his appearance day, all about his mission, his hopes, and the current state of the preaching, and a kind of a desperate prayer for the mercy of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada and the ability to uplift his mission and see it succeed around the world. Because Srila Prabhupada, perfect disciple, he never saw this as my mission or my power. He always felt that everything that he was doing was based on the order and empowerment of his Guru Maharaj, which is actually correct. Everything that the disciple is able to accomplish is only by the mercy of their Guru, right? And their Guru feels that it's on the mercy of their Guru. And it goes all the way back, to our Guru Varga, to Mahaprabhu and Nityananda themselves, right? This is Guru Parampara. So, this prayer has been described and commented on by many people, including Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj and others, as an indication of Srila Prabhupada's inner sentiments. And of course, it's also been commented by everybody who has a conception of who Srila Prabhupada was, what's his internal identity. They all use the same things to support their point of view, but according to the Adhikar, they're going to interpret it in different ways, right? But I'll just read this. Krishna tava punya habe bai, e punya koribe jabe, radharani kushi habe, dhruva ati bole tomatai. Oh, my dear friend Krishna, good fortune will befall you. Srimati Radharani will be pleased with you when you perform this supremely virtuous act, which he's going to describe. This I declare to you with utter conviction. Some of the translations are just, oh, my brother, right? But he's saying, this is translated by the editors of the Gurudev's publications, who are Bengali themselves and very learned in that language, also expert in English. And so he's addressing, oh, my dear friend Krishna, your good fortune will be there when Radharani is pleased with you. And she'll be pleased with you if you do this, right? And then he's going to tell them. And this is interesting because at the very beginning of the prayer, he's invoking and acknowledging that everything is successful. Krishna, you'll be successful, you'll be happy if you please Radhika. Radhika wants this mission, right? Saraswati Prabhupada, he's the servant of Srimati Radhika. Then, Shri Siddhanta Saraswati Sachi Sutta Priya Ati Krishna Sevaya Jaratuya Nahi Sehi Se Mohanta Guru Jagatera Madhye Uru Krishna Bhakti Deya Tahi Tai. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is extremely dear to the son of Mother Shachi, Sri Gaura Sundar. And his service to Sri Krishna is unequaled. He is that most exalted guru, the most excellent and magnanimous personality in the universe, who distributes Krishna Bhakti in all places. Just see Srila Prabhupada's intense love and admiration for his own guru. Comparing, at least for me, I have some admiration, I have some appreciation of my guru, but not like this. Not like this. This is his innermost feeling. He's the most exalted guru, the most excellent and magnanimous personality in the universe, who distributes Krishna Bhakti in all places. This is how we should see our guru. This is his realization. Tana icha balavana paschachete tahatan haye jagat haye jate gaurangera nama pritiviti nagarade asamudra nadi nada sakalehi loya Krishna nama. His intense desire is that the name of Sri Gauranga be spread throughout the Western countries, that in all the cities, towns, and villages on earth, extending to all the seas, rivers, streams, everyone chant Sri Krishna Nam. So this is what he's taking up. This is the Manobhishta of his guru, right? The Manobhishta of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that he sent me here, or he's sending me on this mission. This is his mission, to spread Harinam everywhere, in all places. Tahale ananda hoy, tabe hoya digvijay, chaitanyara kripa atishaya, maya dushta jata dukhi jagate sabahi sukhi, vaishnavera icha puna hoya. Transcendental bliss will then arise, and in all directions will be conquered by the profuse mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All those who are wicked, having been influenced by Maya and distressed within this world, will become happy. The Vaishnavas' desires will thus be fulfilled. Vaishnavas, right? They're just the well-wisher of everyone. This is like the song of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the Nityananda. breaks the dam of love of God, and everyone becomes submerged in it, right? Transcendental bliss will then arise, and all directions will be conquered by the profuse mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then, se kaya je kori bare, agya jadi dile more, yogya nahi ati dina hina, tahi se tomara kripa magi techi anurupa, aji tumi sabara pravina. O Krishna, although I have been ordered to accomplish this mission, I possess no qualification to do it, being very fallen and incapable. Since you are the wisest of all, I now beg for your mercy so that I may become worthy. This is a poem written by himself in his cabin on the Jaladuta, just immersed in his natural state of complete humility. I've been given this order, but I have no qualification. Remember that story we told before about Srila Prabhupada? The day before he left on the Jaladuta, he stopped in Shantipur at the place of Advaitacharya. And he used to do this whenever he was a householder traveling and was in Calcutta. He would come to Mayapur and to Navadvip, and he would go visit that temple and just chant in the back, and he made a relationship with the pujari there, right? Now, many years later, I hadn't seen this pujari, and the day before he left, he was dressed as a sannyasi now, which he had never been before. And again, he was in the back chanting, and the pujari recognized him and said, "Oh, I've not seen you for such a long time. Now you're in sannyasi vesh. What are you doing?" And he said, "Oh, my Guru Maharaj has given me an order, and tomorrow I'm going to sail to America. He's given me an impossible mission. It's impossible what he's asked me to do, but he's ordered me, and so I'm going to do it." That's amazing. He was thinking it's impossible. From the worldly perspective, it is impossible. He had 40 rupees, which is like, at that time was like $7, which you couldn't even exchange. There was no exchange with Indian currency back then. And he had a suitcase with some Bhagavatams. The later Bhagavatams were shipped by Srila Narayan Raj to him. But at that time, he just had a suitcase and a small trunk with books. And how is he going to conquer America with that? Paracartels, no place to stay. He was going to stay for a short while at the house of the son of an associate that he had met, I believe, in Bombay. At any rate, it's just impossible. No support, no friends. I have no qualification. I'm fallen. I'm incapable. So I'm begging for your mercy that I may become worthy. Without the mercy, the blessings, the empowerment of Guru and Krishna, none of us can do anything. So he says, "To mara se shakti pele Guru seva vastu mile jivana sartaka jadi hoya sehi se seva pele tahale sukhi hole tava sangha bhagyate milaya." If by receiving your potency I obtain the treasured object of service to Sri Guru and my life thus becomes successful, I will become joyful and by good fortune attain your association. So the only way I can satisfy my Guru's desire is if you bless me, if you empower me, right? And he calls that service his most treasured object. And that being able to do that service, that's the success of his life. How do we measure our life daily? What's our success, right? I had a good meal, I had a good sleep, right? I did this, I did that, But really, to be immersed in Guru Seva, to be joyful in Guru Seva. That's real success. Not just to slog through it, to perform it out of duty or resentment or whatever, but to be really deeply meditating at every moment. Is this what my Guru wants? Am I doing what my Guru wants? Am I doing it nicely? Right? Srila Prabhupada, when he was leaving this world, he was in his quarters in Vrindavan for many months, just bedridden. And he had one visitor. And before that visitor, he was expressing his reflections now. And he was weeping. Weeping in what? Weeping in prema. And he was saying, I tried my best, but I don't know if I'm successful or not, but one thing I know, I never wasted a moment. Every moment of my life, I was engaged in the service of my Guru Maharaj. Every moment. And that he could say with conviction and joy. Right? It's one thing to evaluate the quality of your service, or did you succeed in this or that? Who can say? But he could say that, I never wasted a moment. Right? That's one of the symptoms of Bhav Bhakti, or certainly mature Prem Bhakti too. That, Kalatvam, never wasting a second, always engaged. So, if I receive your potency, I obtain the treasured object of service to Sri Guru, and my life becomes thus successful. Right, without that potency, the heart can't be fully transformed, softened, engaged. Shuddha sattva visheshatma prema sriyangsa samyabhak ruchi bisjata masarnyo krid asobhava uchate. When that Shuddha sattva, that potency, from the heart of Guru enters into the heart of the disciple, then that potency is there. That potency, Shuddha sattva visheshatma, that is bhakti, that is samvit ladini shakti. When that comes into the heart fully by the mercy of Guru, then what? Then your whole existence becomes fully transformed. And your desires now, 3 special desires, 3 special tastes become fully manifest. Anukula bilas. I only want to do what's favorable for Krishna. I have no separate interest anymore. I just want to do what's favorable for my Guru and for Radha and Krishna Mahaprabhu. Bhagavat Prapti Abhilas. I want to always be near, at the feet of Krishna, of Radha, of their associates. I always want to be with them, connected with them, in their presence. Right? And Sohard Abhilas, the most developed desire. I want to be able to render intimate service to the divine couple. This is a transformation by receiving your potency. Tomara se Shakti Pele, right? This is, I just want that. I don't know about you, but me, I'm always praying for separate things. Oh, please give me this, please give me that. Then I'll be able to do, I try to dovetail it to my service. Some stupid material desire, and then, then I'll engage it in your service, right? The mind is so wicked and tricky. But I just want to obtain the treasured object of service to Sri Guru, and then my life is successful. And then I'll attain your association. Right? Bhagavat Prapti Abhilas. Evam janam nipatitam. What is this? Oh, he's quoting Bhagavatam. Evam janam napitatitam pravava hipatkupe kamavi kamam anuya prapatam prasangat kritva masat surashina bhagavan grihita soham katam nu vishajetan britya sevam. This is from the 7th canto, 9th chapter. Thus, by associating with material desires one after another, I was following the general populace by falling into a blind well full of snakes. My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then the great sage Narad Muni kindly accepted me as his disciple and instructed me how to achieve the transcendental position similar to his own. how could I ever leave the service of your servant? Tu mi more chirasati buliya mayara lati kahi ache janma janmantare ajipuna esu yoga yari haya yoga yoga tabe pare tuhi milibare. O Krishna, you are my eternal companion. Having forgotten you, I have suffered the kick of Maya, lifetime after lifetime. Now I have the opportunity to serve you once more. If I can revive a connection with you, then I will be able to actually meet with you. Right? Again, that desire to meet and the joy of service, I've gotten that again, and you are my eternal companion. Right? Why did I ever accept this position in Maya? Oh, I regret so much, and I don't want that influence, that kick anymore. I just want the opportunity to serve you, revive my connection with you. Such humility. Then, 2 more verses. Tomara milane bai abara se sukhapai gocharane guri dina bora kattavane chutta chuti vane kahi luta puti sehi dina kabe habe mora. In your company, dear friend, I will experience that same joy once again. I will wander all day long tending the cows. I will run through the many forests and roll on the ground. Oh, when will that day be mine? Yes. So, again, this aspiration to be in the company of Krishna. In this case, tending the cows with Krishna, running through the forests, rolling on the ground. When will that day be mine? Very much immersed in that mood. In this verse, in that mood of Sakya Ras. Some people say, wait, Srila Prabhupada's in Manjari Ras. Why would he be wanting to tend the cows? Never get into that argument, but the fact is that it's been described that in this mission, Srila Prabhupada was Nityananda Avesh, and that he was specifically empowered by Nityananda for this preaching. And Nityananda, of course, manifests most primarily the mood of Sakya Ras. And that in the Jaiva Dharma, it's described that in the ecstasies of Gopi Prem, one of the Sanchari Bhavs is actually Sakya Ras. They can experience the moods of Sakya Ras very deeply. And the Sanchari Bhavs, Vyabhichari Bhavs, they rise up very, very powerfully. And they can completely submerge the Sthayi Bhav, whether that is Sakya or the mood of fear or compassion or disgust. There's 33 subtle emotions, and they completely cover Sthayi Bhav when they're expressed very strongly. And so we see sometimes the gopis with Krishna are engaged in activities that generally only the cowherd boys do. They wrestle with him, they fight, they compete, they capture the cowherd boys, they tie them up. They do so many things because remember, ultimately, all rasas exist most completely and fully in Madhurya Ras. Right? But on the other hand, I don't care what Srila Prabhupada's ras may or may not be at this point. I have no eligibility for that. I can just be completely confident in his mercy and his capacity to deliver me to my highest destination, whatever that may be, and to be in his eternal company. So, last verse. Aji se suvidane tomara smaranana bela badho asha dakila matai. Ami tomar nityadas tahi kore eta asha tumi bina anya gati nai. Today that remembrance of you came to me spontaneously. Feeling great hope, I called out to you. Only because I am your eternal servant do I have so much longing. I have no refuge other than you. So that was translated and prepared by the members of the Harmonist team, which included some Bengali devotees as well. This was published in special edition, 2015. Wow. Okay. So there's another prayer as well, the one he wrote when he arrived. I guess, though, we'll have to do that one tomorrow. Okay, so we'll stop here. Beautiful prayer. Prabhupada's deep, heartfelt sentiments. We can only imagine him sitting on this boat now, so close. The journey took about a month. And so every day coming closer and closer to its destination. Troubles, challenges, even on the boat coming to him, his illness, inability to eat sometimes for days and days, but always meditating on that mission, on trying somehow or other to fulfill the order of his Guru Maharaj. Who could imagine? He had no assistance. When the devotees of Saraswati Prabhupada were sent overseas, they were also given money and had introductions and people. But not that they didn't struggle also. I mean, when you hear some of the things that Bhakti Hriday Ban Maharaj went through, that's also pretty overwhelming. Sleeping under a bench in the very cold in the park in England because he had no place to stay, no money had come at one point, so he also underwent great tribulation. Srila Prabhupada, his moods so beautifully expressed in this, was so grateful to him, and we beg his mercy that his mood of love and unflinching determination and joy in the service of his Guru Maharaj, that he give us a particle of that same quality so that we can serve him in a similar way, and serve him and all of his associates and devotees, his disciples, his subsequent followers in the generations that come. Yeah. All glories to Sri Nityalila Pavishta Om Vishnupad Asto Tarsat Sri Srimad Abhaya Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. And all glories to Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and all glories to all of our Rupanuga Guru Varga and the assembled devotees. Hari Bol, Hari Bol.